Hey, we're doing stand-up shows October 20th through the 23rd in Florida and Buffalo. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets. Guess what? There is a whistleblower at the Facebook. Isn't that weird? There's a ex-Facebook manager criticizes the company, urges more oversight. So as soon as I heard about that, I was like, oh, this is not a whistleblower. This is someone who's going to go, well, we're going to find out. I'm going to show you right here. Let me get my Facebook thing. So her name is Frances Hagen. She's testified to the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Consumer Protection. She presented a wide-ranging condemnation of Facebook. She accused the company of failing to make changes to Instagram after internal research showed apparent harm to teens and the company being dishonest in its public fight against hate and misinformation. It's all about the kids. Hagen says she joined the company in 2019 because Facebook has the potential to bring out the best in all of us. Oh, boy. Yes, we all know the best in people is brought out behind a keyboard. Just look at any comments section in history ever. Jesus, yes. Social media brings out the best in us. We crush it when we're isolated, don't we? And by the way, she's pointing out problems with Facebook, and then she's not for breaking them up. She doesn't want to break up Facebook. That's like wanting to fight climate change but not banning fracking. I mean, who would do that? Oh, that's right. So she wants to help the company. That's why she's doing this. She's a whistleblower, but she's still looking out for the company. She's a data expert, and she could tell you that we need better data privacy laws. She could tell you that, but that would cost Mark Zuckerberg more money. So she doesn't tell you that. Okay. She's a 37-year-old data expert from Iowa with a master's degree in business from Harvard. Prior to being recruited by Facebook, she worked for 15 years at a tech company, including Google, Pinterest, and Yelp. She said she didn't leak internal documents in order to destroy the company or call for its breakup, as many consumer advocates and lawmakers of both parties have called for. That's right. She wants to strengthen the company. She loves Facebook. She thinks it should be bigger. Facebook's Hagen, she says she actually against the breaking up of Facebook. That's right. So she'd like to let the company remain a $1 trillion monopoly, but also create a federal agency to regulate it, which she says should employ former Facebook employees. One leaked internal study cited, an internal study, I guess, at Facebook, cited 13.5% of teen girls saying Instagram makes thoughts of suicide worse, and 17% of teen girls saying it makes eating disorders worse. Well, so does television. So does every ad I ever saw, every billboard. What are we going to do, start banning everything? So we should start banning, because that makes everybody feel bad. What are you talking about? That's called capitalism does this to people. The Rolling Stones were writing songs about it in the 60s. Being jealous of the man because his shirts aren't as white. All that stuff. I can't get anyway. So here she is.
But I'm here today because I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy. The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people. Congressional action is needed. They won't solve this crisis without your help.
The government has to censor. The government has to make the world safe for 13-year-old girls' feelings. Well, if you're going to do that to Facebook, you better start doing it to ABC, CNN, because every one of those diet pill commercials, every one of those bikini, every one of those workup, every one of that makes everyone feel horrible about themselves. Well, here's what Glenn Greenwald says. Facebook whistleblower Frances Hagen is a vital media and political asset because she advances their quest for greater control over online political discourse. That's all this is. This is not real. This is bullshit. And she's not a real whistleblower at all. This is just another CIA op from the establishment for more control over media. Their aim is not to erode Facebook and Google's vast power, but to transfer it to themselves for their own use. So she's saying Congress better start regulating and running Facebook, not breaking it up. There is no doubt, at least to me, that Facebook and Google are grave menaces. Along with Apple and Amazon, they have become classic monopolies. But none of the anger or activism in Washington and among liberal outlets is about solving that. They want to be the overseers of it. The whistleblower is telling Dems and corporate media everything they want to hear, namely transferring control of social media to the government for regulation and censorship is the only way to solve this problem. Facebook sees the benefit in this too. Hagan herself, guided by long-term Obama operative Bill Burton, has made explicitly clear that her grievance with her former employer is its refusal to censor more. Neither party's ruling wing really has any objection to this monopolistic power as long as it is exercised to advance their own interests. And that is Facebook's only real problem. Not that they are too powerful, but they are not using that power to censor enough content from the internet that offends the sensibilities and beliefs of Democratic Party leaders and their liberal followers, who now control the White House, the entire executive branch, and both houses of Congress. This is from Glenn Greenwald. He's saying this. And here's from the Pew Research. It shows that Democrats, the U.S. government, should take steps to restrict fake, false, and online info, even if it limits freedom. 65% of Democrats say do it. 28% no. Should tech companies take steps to restrict false info online, even if it limits freedom? 76% of Democrats say yes. 37% of Republicans say no. So again, this is censorship and authoritarianism coming from the left because they think they want to get rid of those bad Trumper ideas. But as we've always pointed out, the first people they go after are the people on the left who are anti-imperialists. I had a guy on this show advocating, a guy from the World Socialist website on my show advocating and cheering on censorship. The next day, they censored that guy's fucking Facebook page. And everybody associated with him from the World Socialist website, the WSWS. They're advocating, cheering it on. This is coming from the left. Cheering on censorship. Can you show me one problem that was ever solved by censorship or made worse? Roughly 3/4 of Democrats now say tech companies should take steps to restrict. We just show you that. This craving for censorship has been elevated into an even more urgent priority for their corporate media allies. Due to the same belief that Facebook helped elect Trump, but also because free speech on social media prevents them from maintaining a stranglehold on the flow of information by allowing ordinary uncredentialed serfs to challenge, question, and dispute their decrees or build a large audience that they cannot control. So what he's saying is that places like this are a threat to the mainstream news media, and of course they're going to be cheering it on because we can now question their bullshit. When they say there's WMDs, we can say, no, there isn't. And they don't want that happening. And we can actually become more popular than them. This show gets more views than those pieces of shit on CNN going against us. I'll guarantee you that. Destroying alternatives to their falling. But and I'm sure Google, by the way, and of course YouTube and Google suppresses our numbers, just like they suppress our subscribers. And they suppress our distribution. But YouTube is such a kick-ass platform for distribution, even with them suppressing us as hard as they can, we're still breaking through. Destroying alternatives to their failing platforms is thus a means of self-preservation for the establishment media. Realizing they cannot convince audience to trust their work or pay attention to it, they seek instead to create captive audiences by destroying or at least controlling any competitors to their pieties. That's exactly what this is. This and this alone is the sole reason why there is so much adoration being constructed around the cult of this new disgruntled Facebook employee. What she provides above all else is a telegenic and seemingly informed insider face to tell Americans that Facebook is destroying their country and their world by allowing too much content to go uncensored, by permitting too many conversations among ordinary people that are, in the immortal words of the New York Times tech reporter Taylor Lorenz, unfettered. We can't have people just talking to each other without being censored, unfettered. Real whistleblowers end up prosecuted, imprisoned, sued, ruined, and vilified by elite DC sectors and their corporate media outlets. They don't have the red carpet rolled out for them with a Netflix-ready film script crafted by a top Obama operative, complete with TV star turns. This is a inside operation, ladies and gentlemen. She is not a whistleblower. Let me bring in Nick Cruz from the Fred Hampton Leftist. What would you like to say about this Facebook whistleblower and the establishment left and the Democratic voters jizz fest over it?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you covered this. And we try to raise awareness on this information war that is going on and this new assault of our liberties, right? And we need to come together to defeat this. And you see, they use a lot of excuses in order to gain more power for the government. And I explained this on Fred Hampton Leftist. They always say, oh, we got to give the government more power so we can fight white supremacy. We need to expand the national security state so we can fight terrorism, fight white supremacy. We got to go after censorship so we can go after these Trump supporters. But that historically, they always use that as an excuse to expand government power. And then, as you said, they turn that against the workers and the left and disenfranchised communities. If you guys don't believe me, I'll give you guys an example of this happening. Do you guys remember when they used January 6th as an excuse to fund the Capitol Police more? Now, we just had Indigenous People Day, aka the colonizer version that is the Christopher Columbus Day. Now, you had Indigenous people that was protesting outside the Capitol, and then the police was cracking their heads in, and they arrested them with the money that AOC and the squad gave them more of.
Yes.
And now notice the power and where it went to, right? They say, oh, we're gonna fund the police more to fight Trumpism and white supremacy. But the first thing they did is go after Indigenous people. The first thing they did is go after homeless people when they forcibly evict homeless people at gunpoint. There was just a story where they was bulldozing people and some dude got injured, right? Yeah. This is the class war. So everyone got to refocus and redirect what the real issue at hand. That's why there's so many people on the left that push for censorship and push for this expansion of government power and this collusion between corporation and state, and that will only harm our community, because that's what this is. This is the communication between corporation and state and the merging of that, which is one of the tenets of fascism. The merging of corporation and state. That's exactly what we have right now. Now, there's nobody that is the biggest purveyor of misinformation than our government.
That's right.
And they use misinformation as a reason to expand their power and to censor people. Do you remember WMDs, weapons of mass destruction? Yes. The same government that said marijuana is bad for you. Yeah. Oh, we can't have people talk on Facebook. This is the establishment push to control information. This is why we need strong, independent media voices to fight back. Not repeat the pro-censorship bullshit. And there are people that do that. And that's what we got to do to push back on that, because we need a counter to this new information war. I told you before, there are people that stuck in 2016 because they don't even talk about this. It's not even a big deal to them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who think shows like mine should present the establishment point of view also. That's not what the point of this show is. And if you think that's the point of the show, you're an idiot. How about that? The point of this show is to debunk the establishment, not to repeat it. And if you're a repeater, you should go get a job at it's Comedy Central. Oh, go get a job at write for Noah. What's his name? The guy who hosts the Daily Show now. What's his name?
Colbert. Oh no, Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah. Go write for him. Go write for Stephen Colbert. If that's what you think you should do, if that's what you think the job of comedy or this was supposed to do is to reinforce the establishment narrative, there's plenty of places for you to go work. There's plenty of shows for you to go watch. That's not what this show is going to do. We're doing stand-up comedy in Florida, in West Palm Beach, and Dania, and then we're going to Buffalo, Baltimore, Tempe, and Portland. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets.